Let me tell you about the day my career almost ended because of a satin bonnet, a pair of orthopedic church shoes, and my Auntie Pearl's complete refusal to understand the concept of mute. My name is Devin Clark. I'm 28 years old. I went to Howard University, got my MBA from NYU, and I work as a senior marketing consultant for a Fortune 500 company in Manhattan. I wear tailored suits, I drink overpriced coffee, and I use words like synergy and pivot without irony. My mama says I talk like a white boy now, but that's not fair. I just, adapted to my environment. For 2 years, I'd been chasing one account, Sterling Cosmetics, a major beauty brand looking to expand into multicultural markets. If I landed this pitch, I was looking at a promotion, a serious raise, and my own corner office with a view of Central Park. This was the meeting, the one that would change everything. And it was happening on Zoom because, the world stopped for a while and we all had to figure out how to be professional from our living rooms. I'd prepared for 3 weeks, memorized every slide, practiced my presentation in the mirror. I'd bought a new shirt, a crisp white button-down that cost more than my first car payment. I set up perfect lighting. I tested my internet connection 4 times. I even got a haircut the day before, lined up so sharp you could cut paper on my edges. The meeting was scheduled for 2 in the afternoon on a Wednesday. At 1:45, I was sitting at my makeshift home office, which was really just my dining room table pushed against the wall. My laptop was positioned at the perfect angle. My notes were organized. My water bottle was filled. My phone was on silent. I was ready. At 1:58, I logged into the Zoom call. There were already 6 people waiting. Jennifer Hayes, the Chief Marketing Officer. David Chin, the VP of Brand Strategy. 4 other executives whose titles all had the word executive in them. These were serious people. These were people who made decisions that affected millions of dollars. "Good afternoon, Devin," Jennifer said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "We're excited to hear your pitch." "Thank you, Jennifer. I'm excited to share it with you." Professional, polished, perfect. At exactly 2 o'clock, I started my presentation. I was killing it. Every point landed. Every slide transitioned smoothly. I could see them nodding, taking notes, leaning forward with interest. This was it. This was my moment. I was about 14 minutes into my 30-minute pitch, right in the middle of explaining my innovative social media strategy when I heard it. A key in my apartment door. My blood went cold. I lived alone. Nobody had a key to my place except for, one person. No, please no, not today, not now. The door swung open and I heard her before I saw her. "Devin, baby, you home?" My Auntie Pearl's voice could wake the dead and make them wish they'd stayed asleep. It was loud, it was proud, and it was currently echoing through my apartment while I was on the most important video call of my professional life. I kept my face neutral, kept my eyes on the camera, kept talking about engagement metrics and brand positioning, while internally I was screaming. Maybe she'd realize I was busy. Maybe she'd quietly close the door and leave. Maybe the universe would show me some mercy. "Devin Anthony Clark, I know you hear me, boy." She appeared behind me like a home invasion, except the invasion was wearing a burgundy velvet bonnet, a floral house dress, and, I kid you not, her Sunday church shoes, the good ones. The black patent leather ones with the thick heel that she'd had since before I was born. "Auntie, I'm in a meeting," I hissed, trying to keep my voice low while not moving my face too much toward the camera. "A meeting? Baby, you sitting at your kitchen table. That ain't no meeting." On my screen, I could see the executives' faces. Jennifer's eyebrows were climbing toward her hairline. David was pressing his lips together like he was trying not to laugh. One of the other executives had turned their camera off entirely, probably to laugh in peace. "It's a video meeting, Auntie. Please." "Oh," she leaned down, squinting at my laptop screen. "Well, why didn't you say so?" "Hey, y'all." And then, God help me, my Auntie Pearl waved at the entire executive team of Sterling Cosmetics. A big, enthusiastic wave like she was greeting old friends at the grocery store. "Hello," Jennifer said slowly, clearly not knowing what else to do. "I'm his Auntie Pearl. This boy right here is brilliant. Y'all know that? He got a whole master's degree. First one in our family to finish college. let alone get a master's. His mama and I are so proud of him. I wanted to die. I wanted the floor to open up and swallow me whole. I wanted to close my laptop and move to another country where nobody had ever heard of Zoom or aunties or burgundy bonnets. That's, wonderful, David said. Devin is very talented. I know that's right. Now, baby, she turned to me, completely blocking the camera with her torso. I brought you some food. I know you don't eat nothing but that rabbit food since you moved to New York. Got you some real food. Neck bones, collard greens, cornbread, mac and cheese. Auntie, please, don't auntie please me. You need to eat. You getting too skinny. Looking like a strong wind could blow you away. She moved toward my tiny kitchen, her church shoes clicking on my hardwood floors. Click, click, click. Like a countdown to my professional execution. I cleared my throat and tried to salvage what was left of my dignity. I apologized for the interruption. As I was saying about the targeted demographic research, Devin, Auntie Pearl's voice boomed from the kitchen. Why you ain't got no hot sauce in this refrigerator? What kind of black person don't have hot sauce? Someone on the call definitely laughed that time. I saw the screen shake. The type who shops at Whole Foods, I muttered, then immediately regretted it because my mic picked it up. Whole Foods. Boy, that place is a scam. Paying $15 for water with cucumber in it. Chile, you done lost your mind up here in New York. Jennifer was now visibly struggling to maintain her composure. Her face was red and her shoulders were shaking. David had turned his camera off too. This was a disaster. This was a complete and total catastrophe. I powered through. What else could I do? I continued my presentation, talking about market penetration and consumer engagement, while my auntie banged around in my kitchen, providing running commentary on my poor life choices. Not one can of Vienna sausages? Not one. What you gonna eat if there's an emergency? Quinoa salad, apparently, one of the executives said, their mic accidentally still on. Several people laughed. I was going to need therapy after this. Expensive therapy. The kind where you lie on a couch and talk about your childhood trauma while a person with a notepad asks you how that makes you feel. Auntie, I said through gritted teeth, abandoning all pretense of professionalism. Can this please wait 30 minutes? She appeared in the background again, this time holding a Tupperware container. I'm just putting this food away so it don't spoil. Lord knows you can't afford to waste good food, not with these New York prices. You know your cousin Sheila came up here to visit last year? Paid $12 for a sandwich. $12 for some turkey on bread. I could have made 40 sandwiches with $12. Sounds like a good deal for the turkey, David said, his camera back on, openly grinning now. Auntie Pearl cackled. I like him. You got good people on this meeting, Devin. They're not on the meeting, Auntie. It's a business presentation. Well, they seem nice. That lady there got a pretty scarf. Jennifer touched her scarf self-consciously. Thank you. You're welcome, baby. You shop at Macy's? That looked like Macy's. Nordstrom, actually. I can tell. Quality. Devin, why don't your friends come over for dinner? I made plenty. They're not my friends. They're colleagues. And they're in different states. This is a video call. Well, they can Zoom while they eat, can't they? Everybody got to eat. At this point, I had completely lost control of the situation. My carefully prepared presentation was in shambles. My professional image was destroyed. My corner office dreams were evaporating like morning dew in the Georgia sun. But you know what? Something weird was happening. The executives were smiling. Really smiling. Not the tight, corporate smiles they'd had at the beginning of the call. Real smiles. Jennifer was laughing. David was engaged. Even the people who turned their cameras off had turned them back on. Devin, Jennifer said, why don't you tell us a little more about your background? I think we got a bit sidetracked, but I'm actually curious. You're from Georgia originally? Yes, ma'am. Augusta. Don't ma'am, her baby, Auntie Pearl interjected, now apparently settling in for the long haul, sitting on my couch behind me. She too young and pretty for ma'am. Make her feel old. Jennifer laughed. I appreciate that. And you moved to New York for work? For business school, actually. Then I stayed for work. Left his whole family behind, Auntie Pearl added. We miss him like crazy. His mama cries every Sunday after church. Auntie, what? It's true. Sharon cries every Sunday. I miss my baby, she says. He up there in New York eating quinoa and forgetting where he come from. I haven't forgotten where I come from. Could have fooled me. When's the last time you called your grandmother? The executives were watching this exchange like it was premium cable entertainment. I felt my face burning with embarrassment, but underneath that, something else was stirring. Something that felt uncomfortably like guilt. I called her 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks? Boy, she's 93 years old. She might not be here in 2 weeks. You need to call her every day. Every day is a bit much, Auntie. For your grandmother, the woman who raised your mama, who raised you, every day ain't enough. Jennifer cleared her throat. Devin, if you need to handle this family matter, we can reschedule. No, I said too quickly. No, please. I'm fine. Auntie Pearl was just leaving. I ain't going nowhere till I make sure you eat something. You look like you ain't had a decent meal in months. I eat fine. Salad and them little crackers with seeds on them ain't eating fine. David laughed out loud. She's got a point, Devin. Thank you, Auntie Pearl pointed at the screen. See, he gets it. What's your name, baby? David Chen. You look like you eat good, David. You got a nice, healthy glow. Not all skinny and peaked like my nephew here. Thank you, I think. This was surreal. I was living in a surreal nightmare where my professional life and my family life had collided in the most spectacular way possible. And somehow, impossibly, the executives were enjoying it. Auntie Pearl, Jennifer said, leaning forward. Can I ask you something? Sure, baby. What you want to know? What do you think about beauty products? Makeup, skincare, that sort of thing. Oh no, 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 no. This was not happening. Jennifer Hayes, Chief Marketing Officer of Sterling Cosmetics, was not about to turn my disaster of a meeting into an impromptu focus group with my auntie. Beauty products? Chili. I've been using Pond's cold cream since before you were born. Works just fine. All these fancy creams y'all selling for $100 when Pond's cost $7 and do the same thing. Jennifer was taking notes. Actually taking notes. And makeup? Jennifer asked. I wear makeup to church, foundation, powder, lipstick, but I got to go to 3 different stores to find a shade that matches my skin. And don't get me started on trying to find makeup for my daughter. She's darker than me. Half the time, the stores don't even carry her shade. They got 40 shades of beige, but only 2 shades of brown. That's exactly the problem we're trying to solve, David said, fully engaged now. We're expanding our product line to be more inclusive. About time, Auntie Pearl said. Black women been buying makeup since makeup was invented. Somebody should have figured this out a long time ago. What would make you want to try a new brand? Jennifer asked. Honey, I'm 71 years old. I know what I like. But if you want to reach women like me, you got to go where we are. Church, hair salons, community centers. You can't just put a billboard in Times Square and think we gonna see it. Jennifer and David exchanged a look. It was the look of people who just heard something important, something valuable. And what about younger women, David asked. Like your daughter. My daughter? She on that Instagram all day long. She follows all them makeup girls. What y'all call them? Influencers? If you got the right influencers showing your makeup, the young people will buy it. This was unreal. My Auntie Pearl, who still called the remote control the clicker and thought YouTube was a place, was dropping marketing wisdom on a team of corporate executives. And they were eating it up. Devin, Jennifer said, your presentation was excellent. Really top-notch work. But I think what we just heard from your aunt is exactly the kind of authentic perspective we've been missing. Would you be open to incorporating some of these grassroots community engagement strategies into your pitch? I blinked. You still want to hear the pitch? Not only do we want to hear it, but I'd like you to revise it with this new direction and present it to our full board next week. And Devin, bring your aunt. Bring my aunt? We're trying to connect with real people, real communities. Your aunt is exactly the voice we need to hear from. Auntie Pearl clapped her hands together. Oh, I like this. I ain't never been to a board meeting before. Do I need to wear a suit? Business casual is fine, Jennifer said, smiling. I got a nice pantsuit from Macy's. The purple one with the rhinestones on the collar. That sounds perfect. After the call ended, I sat there in stunned silence. My apartment was quiet except for the clicking of Auntie Pearl's church shoes as she heated up the food she'd brought. Well, she said, setting a plate of collard greens and cornbread in front of me, that went better than expected. Auntie, you completely derailed my presentation. Did I? 'Cause it seemed to me like they loved what I had to say. That's not the point. Then what is the point, baby? I stared at the food. Real food. The kind I grew up eating. The kind I'd been avoiding because it didn't fit my new image. My new life. I worked so hard for this, I said quietly. I've been trying to prove myself. To show them I belong in these rooms. That I'm professional enough. Polished enough. Good enough. Auntie Pearl sat down across from me. She reached over and took my hand. Her fingers were rough, callous from years of work, years of cooking and cleaning and taking care of family. Baby, you are good enough. You always have been. But you know what? You don't gotta hide where you come from to be professional. You don't gotta talk different or eat different or pretend your family don't exist. That's not what makes you professional. Your work makes you professional. Your character makes you professional. But you showed up in a bonnet, Auntie. She laughed. So? This a good bonnet. Cost me $22. And these church shoes are comfortable. I don't care what nobody thinks about my bonnet or my shoes. I know who I am. The question is, do you know who you are? I looked at her, really looked at her, at her bonnet and her church shoes and her house dress, at the food she'd brought because she was worried about me, at the way she'd barged into my life without apology because that's what family does. I think I forgot, I admitted. I think I've been so busy trying to fit into this new world that I forgot about the world I came from. You can have both, baby. You can be the smart businessman with the fancy job and the master's degree, and you can still be Devin from Augusta who likes collard greens and calls his grandmama every week. Every day seems excessive. Every week is the minimum. And I'm serious, boy. Call your grandmama. I picked up my fork and took a bite of the collard greens. They were perfect. Salty, savory, cooked with ham hocks and love. They tasted like home. These are good, I said. I know they're good. I've been making collard greens since before you were born. We ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then Auntie Pearl said, So, we really going to a board meeting? Looks like it. You think they got good snacks at board meetings? I seen on TV they always got them little sandwiches with the crust cut off. They're called tea sandwiches, Auntie. That's a waste of good crust. But I'll try one. For research purposes. I laughed. Really laughed. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, I felt like myself. Not the version of myself I'd been performing for the executives. Not the polished, perfect professional. Just me. Thank you for bringing me food, I said. That's what family does, baby. We show up. Sometimes at the wrong time, in the wrong outfit, saying the wrong things, but we show up. Over the next week, I worked on revising my presentation. But this time, I did something different. I called my mama. I called my grandmama. I called my cousin Sheila and my uncle Raymond and even my little sister who was still in college in Atlanta. I asked them about beauty products and shopping and what mattered to them. I incorporated their voices into my pitch. Not just Auntie Pearl's perspective, but the whole family's. Real people with real opinions and real money to spend. When the day of the board presentation came, Auntie Pearl showed up at my apartment at 9 in the morning. Even though the meeting wasn't until 2, she was wearing her purple pantsuit with the rhinestones. The bonnet was gone, replaced with a wig that looked suspiciously new. She'd even gotten her nails done. You look nice, Auntie. I clean up good when I want to. Now, you got coffee? I need to be sharp for this meeting. We took the subway to Midtown together. Auntie Pearl had never been on the New York subway before. She held onto the pole with both hands and gave commentary on every stop. This train moving fast. How do people not fall? You get used to it. That man over there is sleeping standing up. How's he doing that? Practice. Why that lady got a dog in her purse? That dog looks uncomfortable. It's a purse dog, Auntie. It's a New York thing. When we arrived at the Sterling Cosmetics headquarters, Auntie Pearl stopped and stared up at the building. 52 stories of glass and steel, towering over Manhattan like a monument to corporate success. Lord have mercy, she whispered. You work here? I work with them. My office is in a different building. This is beautiful, baby. Your mama needs to see this. We rode the elevator to the 45th floor. The receptionist greeted us with a smile and directed us to the conference room. It was enormous. A long mahogany table that could seat 30 people, floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of the city that cost more than most people's houses. Abstract art on the walls that probably cost more than my student loans. Fancy, Auntie Pearl whispered. Don't touch nothing. Jennifer arrived first, followed by David and 8 other board members. They greeted us warmly and several of them made a point of shaking Auntie Pearl's hand and thanking her for coming. "Thank you for having me," Auntie Pearl said, every bit the gracious guest. "This is a beautiful office. Y'all hiring?" They laughed. She'd won them over already. I gave my presentation. This time, it was different. Better. I didn't just talk about metrics and demographics and market penetration. I talked about my grandmama in Augusta who couldn't find foundation in her shade. I talked about my cousin Sheila who had to drive 45 minutes to find a beauty supply store that carried hair products for natural hair. I talked about my mama who'd been buying makeup from the same drugstore brand for 30 years because she knew it wouldn't irritate her skin, even though the color match was always slightly off. I talked about community, about trust, about showing up in the places where Black women already were instead of expecting them to come find us. And then I introduced Auntie Pearl. She stood up, adjusted her rhinestone collar, and addressed the board like she'd been doing it her whole life. "I ain't got no fancy degree like my nephew," she started. "I worked as a nurse for 40 years. I raised 4 children. I've been Black in America for 71 years, and I've been buying makeup for 55 of those years. So I know a little something about what women like me want." She talked about representation, about seeing women who looked like her in advertisements, about going to the beauty counter at a department store and having a salesperson who understood her skin tone and her hair texture and her needs. "Y'all want our money," she said plainly. "Black women in America spend billions of dollars on beauty products every year. Billions. But we want to be seen. We want to be respected. We want to walk into a store and not feel like an afterthought." The room was silent. Everyone was listening. Really listening. "My nephew here," she continued, gesturing to me, "he's got the education and the fancy words and the PowerPoint slides, but he also got something more important. He got the understanding. He knows where he comes from. He knows his community. And if y'all are smart, you'll listen to what he's saying, because he's not just selling you a marketing strategy. He's offering you a bridge to millions of women who are tired of being ignored." She sat down. The room erupted in applause. Jennifer stood up. "Pearl, that was extraordinary. Thank you. And Devin, this is exactly what we've been looking for. This pitch, this perspective, this authenticity. I'm pleased to offer you the Sterling account, effective immediately." I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. After 2 years of chasing this account, of polishing myself and perfecting my image and trying to be someone I thought they wanted, I'd landed it by being myself. By bringing my auntie in a rhinestone pantsuit to a board meeting, by remembering where I came from instead of running from it. "There's one more thing," Jennifer said. "We'd like to hire Pearl as a consultant. We're launching a community advisory board to help guide our expansion into multicultural markets. We need voices like yours, real voices. Would you be interested?" Auntie Pearl looked at me. I nodded. "How much it pay?" she asked. David laughed. "We'll discuss compensation, but I think you'll be happy with the offer. Long as it's enough for me to buy more Pond's cold cream, I'm in." After the meeting, we went to lunch at a soul food restaurant in Harlem. Auntie Pearl ordered fried catfish and collard greens and cornbread. I did the same. "I'm proud of you, baby," she said, squeezing my hand across the table. "Not because you got the account, though that's wonderful. I'm proud because you stayed true to yourself. I almost didn't. I almost let them turn me into someone I'm not, but you didn't. That's what matters. I couldn't have done it without you barging into my life at the worst possible moment." She grinned. "Sometimes the worst moments turn into the best blessings. Besides, somebody had to remind you that you don't have to choose between being successful and being yourself. You can be both." We ate our food and talked about family, about who was getting married and who was having babies and who was getting on everyone's nerves. We talked about grandmama and how I needed to call her more. We talked about my mama and how much she missed me. "You should come home more," Auntie Pearl said. "New York ain't going nowhere. But your family, we getting older every day." "I know, I will, I promise." "Good, because we love you, Devin. The real you. Not the corporate version or the polished version. We love the boy who used to eat dirt in the backyard and cry during Lion King and fall asleep in church. That's our boy. Don't ever forget that." I called my grandmama that night, and the next night, and the night after that. It became a routine. Every evening at 8, I'd call her. Sometimes we'd talk for 5 minutes, sometimes for an hour, but I called every single day. I also started going home more. Once a month, I'd take the train down to Georgia. I'd eat at the kitchen table with my family. I'd go to church on Sunday. I'd remember who I was before the suits and the degrees and the corporate meetings. And you know what? I became better at my job. Not in spite of staying connected to my roots, but because of it. I understood my clients better. I understood the communities we were trying to reach. I understood that authenticity couldn't be manufactured or marketed. It had to be lived. 6 months later, Sterling Cosmetics launched their new multicultural product line. The campaign was brilliant, if I do say so myself. We partnered with Black-owned beauty supply stores. We hired local influencers and community leaders. We showed up at churches and hair salons and community centers. We met people where they were. And it worked. Sales exceeded projections by 40% in the first quarter. The brand became synonymous with inclusivity and authenticity. Other companies started calling, wanting to know our secret. The secret was simple. Be real. Show up. Listen to people like Auntie Pearl who've been ignored and overlooked, but who have wisdom that no marketing degree can teach you. I got my promotion. I got my corner office with the view of Central Park. But more importantly, I got myself back. The version of me that hadn't been lost, just hidden under layers of professional polish and corporate speak. Auntie Pearl became something of a celebrity in the marketing world. She spoke on panels and gave interviews and even started her own Instagram account where she reviewed beauty products and gave unsolicited advice to young people. Her follower count passed 100,000 in 3 months. I don't know why people care what I think, she'd say. 'Cause you're real, Auntie. People are hungry for real. 1 year after the infamous Zoom meeting, Sterling Cosmetics held their annual gala in Manhattan. It was a black tie event at a fancy hotel in Midtown. Celebrities and executives and influencers from around the country. I brought Auntie Pearl as my guest. She wore a floor-length gown, deep emerald green with silver beading. She'd gotten her hair done at a salon that cost more than my first car. She looked like royalty. You clean up real nice, Auntie. I know I do. But between you and me, I miss my bonnet and my church shoes. During the gala, Jennifer Hayes gave a speech about the company's growth and success over the past year. She talked about community engagement and authentic representation and the importance of listening to voices that had been historically marginalized. And then she called me up to the stage. Devin Clark, she said into the microphone, joined our company 2 years ago with a vision for how we could better serve diverse communities. But it wasn't until his Auntie Pearl showed up to a Zoom meeting in her bonnet and church shoes that we truly understood what authentic representation meant. The room laughed. Auntie Pearl stood up and waved, getting a standing ovation. Devin, Jennifer continued, you taught us that professionalism isn't about conforming to someone else's standards. It's about bringing your whole self to the table. Your intelligence, your creativity, your experience, and yes, even your family. Thank you for that lesson. And thank you, Pearl, for being unapologetically yourself. I gave a short speech thanking the company and my team, but mostly I thanked my family. I thanked Auntie Pearl for showing up when I needed her most, even when I didn't know I needed her. I thanked my mama for raising me to value education and hard work. I thank my grandmama for teaching me that success means nothing if you forget where you came from. After the gala, Auntie Pearl and I sat in a late-night diner in Times Square, still in our fancy clothes, eating pancakes and eggs. This was a good night, she said, but I'm ready to go home. Home to Augusta, home to my bed and my bonnet and my comfortable shoes. All this glamour is exhausting. I laughed. You did great tonight, Auntie. You always do. That's because I know who I am, baby. Took me 71 years to figure it out, but I got there eventually. Some people never do. They spend their whole lives trying to be what other people want them to be. But you figured it out early. That's a blessing. I almost didn't, but you did. That's what counts. We finished our pancakes in comfortable silence. Outside, Times Square was still buzzing with tourists and performers and the endless energy of New York City. But inside the diner, it was just the two of us. Family, real, unfiltered. Auntie, I said. Yeah, baby. Thank you for showing up to my Zoom meeting in your bonnet and church shoes. She reached across the table and patted my hand. Anytime, baby. Anytime. Because here's what I learned that day, and what I want you to understand too. You don't have to choose between success and authenticity. You don't have to hide your family or your background or the things that make you who you are. The right people, the right opportunities, the right life, they'll accept all of you. The bonnet and the church shoes and the collard greens and the master's degree. Your family might embarrass you. They might show up at the wrong time in the wrong outfit saying the wrong things, but they're yours, and there's power in that. Power in knowing where you come from. Power in staying connected to your roots even when you're reaching for the sky. Auntie Pearl taught me that being professional doesn't mean being whitewashed or watered down. It means being excellent at what you do while staying true to who you are. It means understanding that your background isn't a liability. It's an asset. It's your superpower. So if your auntie shows up to your Zoom meeting in her bonnet and church shoes, don't panic. Don't hide. Let her in. Let her speak. Let her remind you and everyone watching that success doesn't require you to erase yourself. It requires you to embrace yourself. And maybe, just maybe, bring some collard greens. Because everybody's got to eat, and salad with quinoa ain't cutting it. I still work at Sterling Cosmetics. I still have my corner office with the view of Central Park. I still wear tailored suits and drink overpriced coffee. But now, I also keep a picture of Auntie Pearl in her bonnet on my desk. A reminder, a touchstone, a promise to myself that I'll never again try to be someone I'm not. Because at the end of the day, the bonnet and the church shoes aren't just accessories. They're symbols. Symbols of a woman who knows who she is and doesn't apologize for it. Symbols of a culture and a community that raised me and shaped me and made me who I am. And I wouldn't change that for all the corner offices in Manhattan. Call your grandmama. Eat some real food. Remember where you came from. And if someone shows up to your important meeting in a bonnet and church shoes, count yourself blessed, because that's family. That's love. That's home. And home is the best place to build from, no matter how high you're trying to climb. Like this video if it touched something in you. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories about what it means to be human, to be family, and to choose love even when it's complicated. I'll see you next time.